Hey, welcome to the Fatherless Cheat Sheet. I'm Andrew, your host, your fatherless friend, your extra large fatherless friend, but your medium mentor. Thanks for joining me. We have a solo banger today. We're going to get heavy. We're going to get real. You guys remember The Real World, that show? It's that great show. One of the first reality shows. That thing got real. Some poor guy died of AIDS, Pedro, and a gal in that same season who's now married to the transportation secretary who was on road rules, which, politics aside, is the funniest goddamn thing I've ever heard. And talk about going anywhere you want in life. No pun intended. This guy was on road rules. Now he's the Secretary of Transportation. God bless America, baby. I'm a patriot. Here we are. It is a rainy Saturday night. It's a rainy Saturday night, and I am recording solo tonight. We're going to talk about fatherless fallout, the repercussions of fatherlessness. I did some digging. I did some research. I pulled out my Encyclopedia Britannica. I dialed up the Encarta from 1994, and I did some research. I have footnotes. I have sources, and we're going to talk a little bit about fatherless fallout and the real repercussions behind fatherlessness. Now, I will caveat this. I will bookend the show in caveats. One of the caveats, because I'm the caveat kid, one of the caveats is that, obviously, this is not a doctrine. These are studies. There's research. I'm a baseball player. I was a baseball player. I'm a stat guy. I like stats. I like the averages of things. That's why I still get on planes. I'm okay with that because it's so seldomly a thing. So these are just studies. These are studies, and these are what could have happened, potentially. Now, the caveat is that it all depends on your circumstances. I was lucky enough to have an extremely devoted single mom, as I say often. I had an older sister who helped me out all the time, and we were a tight group. I had extended family. So I had support. I had a lot of support, and things didn't get too far away from us in terms of that kind of stuff. A lot of the time when there's not a father in the home, or he's a shithead, as I've said before, things do tend to get away from you, and it kind of devolves into the findings that I see, which is pretty stark and fairly upsetting in some cases. Anyway, so the other thing is 2026, here we are. I kind of kicked the door in on 26, not in the way I wanted to exactly. This is appropriate to the topic at hand. Had sort of the Verizon towers of confrontations and conflict in the last couple of weeks. Not proud of it, but I'll share it with you anyway. And by Verizon towers, I mean we started small, we got a little medium, and then we ended double extra large, like I wear my hoodies. And I'll tell you about it. And the way I want to relate it to me in this list of fatherless repercussions is that for so many years, is this nature nurture? Is it a collective? I don't know, but let's talk about it. So the first one's almost nothing. It happened at the gym. I was in the sandbox and someone took one of my toys and I approached them about it. And we had a quick discussion. And one of those things, no, take it back. No, you use it. He's like, well, if you didn't need it, then why'd you come ask for it back? Because you should have asked me. And it was very obvious I was using it. I happened to go to a phenomenal gym, and with that comes entitlement and not great people, but it is what it is. Sometimes you take the good, you take the bad. Was it The Facts of Life? You remember that one? That was a good one. I told you I was a latchkey kid. I watched everything. The second one, do me a favor. If you're going to take 6 12-year-old boys to the sequel to a Disney movie, and why the hell are 6 12-year-old boys seeing Zootopia 2, right? Don't go alone, Mom, okay? Kaiden's mom was there with them. She was nowhere to be found. They're making noise. They're kicking chairs. They're kicking my daughter's chair. That's not going to work with me. It's not going to work with me. So finally, as the movie started and they're talking 6 minutes into the thing, I just said, because I was a coach, I used my coach's voice, didn't yell. I said, guys, we're not starting this way. And Miss did not. The Missus, with the giant Sherman tank of a Suburban she probably has, she can't even see over the steering wheel. She took issue with that and told me, well, you should have spoken to me first. You should have looked for a parent. I said, with my silver tongue and quick wit, the way they were behaving, I thought that wasn't even possible that there was a parent anywhere in sight. She didn't like that whatsoever. And she told me to be more gentle. I have to be gentle with them. And I said, yeah, that's kind of the problem, actually, because they were obnoxious from Jump Street. So go sit down. I'll enjoy the movie, and I'll try not to think about you for the next 2 hours while I take a nap during Zootopia 2. The last one was a bit escalated, and I won't say what delivery service it was, but a delivery worker, I shout these guys out all the time. I throw a beer at them if they'll take it. I'll make them a sandwich. We get along well. This is not a privatized one. We'll say that. This guy was doing a two-step on my porch that Ben Vereen and Savion Glover would have been jealous of. And he had his big boots on, and he knows the dogs go crazy with that stuff. So finally, because he does it every day, I run out and I say, hey, guy, could we just soft shoe it, maybe? So he didn't like that. About 20 minutes later, he drives his vehicle back around and decides for a minute and a half with my children playing in the right by the door of the house in the windows to rev his engine for about 90 full seconds, to where I ran outside in my socks. And so I don't think he thought he was going to see someone salivating in socks in the snow. So he took off pretty quickly, but we'll have a conversation when I see him again, because I'm sure I will. It all leads me to the point. Many, many years ago, I was in 5th grade. It was a return to school night or a parents' night or whatever it was. And my teacher, who I thought was great, her name was Mrs. Fitzpatrick. I think she got married. I don't know what she did, but she was really nice. She was really a memorable teacher, very kind to me. She told Linda, my mom, she said, he's a good kid, but he's just always at odds with people. And I never forgot that. He's always at odds with people. And I thought it was really kind of well put. And I always kind of felt that way. And I always kind of felt a little like a feral animal when backed into a corner. So it made sense when she said that to me like that, or said it to my mom like that. But my mom was she was so upset. She was so upset. And I think she was upset, not because of the at odds thing. I think she was upset because she saw that in me, and she knows how that shakes out. Now, I'm I think most people would say I'm a kind person. I can just get a little passionate sometimes, especially when something pops off or happens. I think a lot of that was based in the past, because I've certainly calmed down despite my Verizon towers of conflict and louder conversations in the last 2 weeks. But I think that a lot of it has to do with just this feeling not protected, and then overcompensating for that protection, a lot of insecurity potentially. But I say this all the time. I don't mean to be a bore about it, but as I've gotten older, certainly that's worn off, and I let things go as I didn't used to. And that's a good thing. It's a positive thing. Plus, I look through it in the lens of, hey, dude, shut up. Who cares? You have children. I say that to myself 3 times a week. Shut up. You have children. Move on. Whether it's in the car, with the driving, and this and that. And Dino will laugh at this one, because we'll be on the phone sometimes, and I'll just go off. You know the dad in the Christmas Story when the kid, no, that's not the dad. The kid drops the lug nuts on the ground and he starts to curse, and the dad gets up. That's what I sound like when I'm behind the wheel and I'm on the phone with Dino trying to get somewhere, and someone cuts me off. It doesn't use a signal, whatever. We all do it a little bit. But I think that I've certainly calmed down. I was always a little bit worried. I had a golden retriever, rest in peace, Dinger, my boy. I had him for 14 years, and he didn't calm down until about the last 3 months of his life. And you know what? I was always afraid that was going to be me. I hope it is me. I hope I don't calm down until about the last 3 months of my life, which I hope that's a very, very long time from now. But I want to talk today a little bit about these repercussions. So I don't know. Let's give it a shot. Fatherless Cheat Sheet. All right. Okay. Hey guys, we're back with these. These are in really no particular order. And again, it's not like some sort of countdown or whatever. I did some research. These are sort of more popular, if you will, or apparent repercussions, evidence-based repercussions. So we're going to sort of go over them. There are 10. I'll try to be sort of quick with each one. Increased risk of poverty and economic instability. Children raised without a father in the home are 2 to 4 times more likely to live in poverty, with effects that often persist into adulthood through lower educational attainment and reduced earning potential. Source, U.S. Census Bureau. and the Brookings Institute. I will say this, and I'm just going to relate all of these to me because here I am and it's the show. My mom worked her absolute tail off forever, and we never really wanted for anything where things tight sometimes. And like I said, never been to Rome, but whatever. So there are obviously people in much more dire circumstances, and I was very lucky. We were very lucky that my mom was a single working mother. She was in marketing. She did great. She kicked ass and did that for years. And sort of, thank God we sort of made it out of there. But things were touch and go at times. That's for sure. There's no doubt about that. So that was number one. Higher rates of behavioral and conduct disorders. Fatherless children exhibit higher rates of ADHD, conduct disorder, and oppositional behaviors. Fathers play a distinct role in impulse control and boundary modeling. Source: American Psychological Association. Father involvement and child behavioral outcomes. Yeah, I would say I don't think I'm ADHD. I'm a smacked ass. I mean, I've always been super high energy, but for me, some of the impulse control kind of came along a little bit later in life because I feel like as a kid, I wanted to do everything I could to not be a problem for my mom because I knew how hard she had it. I was a really good kid. I really was. It was like ooey gooey, empathetic, sweet kid. I don't know what the hell happened. I think life happened. What happens is I started out as this ball of pizza dough. And then what happens? Life needs you. And then I was put in the oven for, 44 years. And now I'm probably too hard and crispy to sell, even in a 99-cent pizza shop. But impulse can, I never liked parameters. I never enjoyed authority. I could definitely see that that's a thing with me. I don't like being told what to do. It's not fun. I never really excelled well in environments like that, whether it was workplace or school. Speaking of school, lower academic achievement and school engagement. Fatherless absence is associated with lower GPA, higher dropout rates, reduced college attendance, even after controlling for income and neighborhood variables. So basically, National Center for Education Statistics. Basically, even if you got all that stuff on your side, that's an interesting point because for me, I wound up going to a high school in a nice area, and very affluent kids shared the high school. It was a regional high school. And I'm walking home and these kids are whipping by in Mercedes and brand new Jeeps and like, hey, give a guy a ride. I'll tell you a couple jokes will make you laugh, but can you drive me home? I did not do well in high school. I was not interested. The only reason I was interested in grades was to keep them up high enough that I could stay on the baseball team. Now, when I got to college, my junior and senior year of college, I was in an athletic, academic, honor roll, whatever, because I started to enjoy my courses of communications and film, public speaking. So I kind of came into my own later. Again, a late bloomer. Certainly a late bloomer. Okay, elevated. Oh boy, this one. Elevated risk. I'm going to take a sip of whiskey before this one. Elevated risk of incarceration and criminal justice contact. A disproportionate percentage of incarcerated men report growing up without an engaged father, linked to reduced supervision and increased peer reliance. U.S. Department of Justice. I'm going to save this one for the book. I'll just say for you young bucks out there, although you all wear sneakers now, size 13 wooden-heeled Kenneth Cole boots, 12 shots of Jameson, and Midtown bar windows do not make good bedfellows. I'm going to leave that one right there. Greater likelihood of substance abuse. Youth from father-absent homes show higher risk of alcohol and drug use and earlier experimentation compared to peers from two-parent households, National Institute on Drug Abuse. I was not I was a late bloomer. Again, I was a really good kid, and then I got to my 20s. And so I didn't do too much of that stuff in high school, college a little bit, but I drove everywhere in college, and I am kind of obsessed with the not drinking and driving. And, um, that one was not for me early. Later in life, between us, definitely have used alcohol as a social crutch, if you will, maybe a little too reliant at times. It kinda now has become a it's a little less like that now. I sort of have more control of that thing as I've gotten older, thank God. It's not chemical. It's more habitual and stuff like that. And ritualistic is what I mean, and also social. Increased risk of depression and anxiety. Father absence correlates with elevated depressive symptoms, anxiety disorders, and emotional dysregulation across genders. National Institute of Mental Health. Yeah, I don't know. I think everybody gets the boo birds unless you're I'm not sort of manic depressive diagnosis, anxiety. Who doesn't get anxious? Who doesn't get the boo birds? I've definitely gotten those. You get those voices in your head that you just have to tell to shut the fuck up. And I've always been pretty good at doing that. So, I don't know. That's the thing where it's that bag of problems. You could sort of feel sorry about it or move on. And I've probably done a little bit of both, to be honest with you. But I think I try my best to just stay positive, be a positive person. Again, the nature and nurture of it. Okay. This one's interesting for me. Difficulty forming secure adult relationships. Adults raised without fathers demonstrate higher rates of anxious or avoidant attachment styles and relationship instability. Attachment theory research. Friendships, relationships, definitely I've gotten better at those. I think that I was very, and I want to have someone on about friendship because it's a big one for me. I've sort of gotten better at friendship, and I've branched out to have more friends now than I used to. I used to be very much an isolationist. I still don't trust anybody. I mean, I'm telling everybody that I don't trust anybody. I just don't. I have walls up, and it's just who I am. I don't know if it's because I'm Calabrian, a Calabrian American, Italian American, but and we're kind of stubborn in that sense. I'm not sure. Again, I don't know what any of this means, but I just figured I'd look into it a little bit. But for certain, I very the relationships I have, I hold very, very close, and I'm very, very loyal to those people. And sort of just recently, I've branched out a little bit more as I've gotten older. And as you have kids, you meet new people and things like that, and people who are in the same boat and who want to achieve the same things or have the same value system or whatever it is. And honestly, sometimes you just got to pass the time with someone you enjoy and you like, have a laugh, have a drink, whatever. So it doesn't have to be too serious. But I don't really. I struggle with that from time to time. Still, I've lost many friends. As I've gotten older, I kind of took the deli slicer out on that, log of turkey and just lopped off some friends who were not great. And I could talk shit about them if you want me to. They're not listening, and I don't care. But the fact of the matter is that sometimes there is a thing such as addition by subtraction. And to be honest with you, you can't be mad at people for being exactly who they are. They're telling you, hey, this is me. So how could you be mad at them or disappointed? And that's something I picked up along the way as well. I used to get so overly sensitive and stuff like that. It's just people are just being who they are. If you don't like it, you don't talk to them. That's all. So that's what you do. You just move on from it. Identity formation and self-esteem challenges. Fatherless boys in particular. That's me. Experience higher rates of identity, confusion, low self-esteem, and external validation seeking behaviors. Yeah, sign me up. Let me go become an actor. So a bunch of people that I don't know clap for me as I'm sitting in front of a big light and a camera. filming a show by myself in my freezing cold shed. So I think that one still may be an issue, but again, has waned a bit. Uh, I always think with this one, I always think about the models of my behavior, the Rat Pack guys, the Vince Vaughns, the like what I gravitated towards, the rock and roll guys, Dave Grohl and those guys that I enjoyed, and you'll often catch me in just a black T-shirt and black jeans forever, or whatever the example is, drinking a whiskey neat like Frank and Dino. And again, is it because I had to take on these personas or adopt these different sort of stylistic vibrations? Maybe, sure, but everybody does that. Again, we're just going through this. It's everybody with 2 parents, no parents, 6 parents. I don't know. We adopt certain things, but for me, certainly, it took a long time to convince myself to be confident, to allow myself to be confident, to allow that to happen. So that's it. That was an interesting one. I'm surprised I found that because it makes perfect sense. It just didn't occur to me. Let's see. Oh, okay, Linda, turn it off right now. Earlier sexual activity and higher teen pregnancy rates. Girls without fathers are statistically more likely to experience early puberty, early sexual initiation, and higher rates of teen pregnancy. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. I wanted to be an early bloomer with this, believe me, but I didn't have a jawline until 16. So I wound up, having a girlfriend at 17 and a serious girlfriend, whoever has a serious relationship at 17 besides nobody. But no knock on the high school sweethearts out there who are married, happily married, and with children, and some of my favorite people. But yeah, I would have bloomed as early as someone would have let me, believe me. But it wasn't a thing for me. It happened. All that stuff happened when it happened, and I won't get into the gory details. But in terms of, the thing I will say is I don't love the idea of it's made such a joke in Hollywood movies and comedians or whatever, the whole like the daddy issues thing, da da da. Yeah, I get that. But it's a real thing, and I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't make so light of it all the time. But anyway, I digress. Okay, number 10. This is the last one. Intergenerational transmission of father absence. Men who grow up fatherless are more likely to struggle with paternal identity themselves, increasing the likelihood of disengaged fatherhood without intervention. Source: Harvard Center on the Developing Child. That one has nothing to do with me. I tell my wife all the time, I'm not going anywhere. If there's ever an issue, God forbid, I will live downstairs with my Gulmar and the mice in the basement. I am not leaving these children. Never, never, never say never, never. That's it, period, the end. And so I can absolutely see how this could be a thing for other people. But again, this is all nuanced. It's all case by case. And I just thought this is sort of a really interesting thing to look at closely, because since the onset of the show, I didn't really dive into some of this stuff in a research capacity, and I dug pretty deep, and what I found was sort of jarring and interesting and upsetting, all the above, and there's a lot of stuff there that I find to be completely true of me. There's a lot of stuff there that I could see at large is pretty true across the board. And it's just one of those things where, I don't know, it's, do other people with other problems act similarly? Sure. Yeah. Okay. But this is, like I always say, this is the fatherless cheat sheet. So this is what we're talking about. And so I just wanted to give everybody that little overview at a high level. And just before I wrap the show up, before I came out to film and record, my older daughter gave me something to bring with me. So I just want to show you that. I told her I'd show it. It's a little crab. It's like a little pool toy. She had a swimming lesson today. She kicked butt. I don't go too crazy. She's young, but let's keep her moving. And anyways, so that's Fatherless Fallout. And I hope you got some insight. I hope you had a couple chuckles, and I hope you keep listening. YouTube, Spotify, like, subscribe, Apple, all that stuff. Tell your buddies, tell your friends, tell your cousins, and keep listening to the Fatherless Cheat Sheet. And we'll see you next time.